Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak something on parenting and education. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschapta Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhashta Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So for the next 2 days we will discuss on the psychology of parenting. Of course, it is an arrogance to sit here and speak on a subject which is not my expertise. So therefore I don't claim expert in parenting. At the same time, whatever collected information from the scriptures dealing with children, dealing with parents, I would like to present them as an information instead of wisdom, because wisdom happens when there is an experience. Another interesting principle is, even those who are successful parents, those who have raised their children in a very integrated way, their model of raising their children in their time can be their own personal story. It cannot be the story for everybody, because personal experience is not necessarily universal wisdom. Because the concept of parenting is not like a product. You made a beautiful product, integrated product, and then you simply copycat like that. It is not a car, it is not a telephone, right? Why? Because a set of parents dealing in their times, having set of children, could have been very compatible in regards to their psychology, their chart and their systems, everything. Therefore raising them must have been very seamless and easy. Therefore it is explained that parenting, the art of parenting is like studying or discovering the vastless, limitless ocean. It will always remain abstract in regards to when somebody is walking the journey of parenting compared to somebody else. Therefore there is no perfect blueprint in regards to parenting. In the Bhagavatam 4th canto, the great Vidura, right, who had experienced all kinds of parenting in regards to his brothers, Pandu Maharaj, he was not there when the Pandavas raised with great dharma. On the other hand, his brother Dhritarashtra, who was as wicked as his son Duryodhan. So Vidura could say, oh, bad father, bad son. But he encountered a story by Maitreya Maharshi. Maitreya Maharshi said the story of Anga and Vena. Anga was the great king, a great father. But unfortunately what happened, he had a son like Vena. Therefore Vidura, raising his eyebrows, exclaimed this, how could this happen, my dear Maitreya, that a great father but an obnoxious son. How was it possible? And therefore, one of the greatest principle in regards to the foundational idea of parenting is not a system, rather it's a disposition. It is not a process in regards to system, rather it is process in the disposition of our mind and our consciousness. And what is that? Using the principle of Krishna, Krishna told, what did Krishna tell? Krishna told in the Bhagavad Gita, in fact the entire theme of Bhagavad Gita, if we study carefully, there is so much of emphasis on the concept of karmani evadhikarastu ma phalechu kadachan. Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, you have a right to perform, you have a right over your duties. Means you can perform your duties, but you do not have the right over the fruits. The fruits will come, but how do they come? It is not within your control. Therefore, do your best. Do your best and let the consequences be in the hand of Krishna, be in the hand of destiny, be in the hand of Daiva. Saying this, we will still try to find some concepts, some principles in regards to the fundas, the principles of parenting. Alright, as I said, it's like an ocean, and when you are successful raising your child, it is like studying the drop of water of that ocean. It is a ocean water, but it is not ocean. It is not that there are only drops of water in the ocean. If I consider ocean is synonymous to water, then that would be the stupidest idea I would have. Because ocean also has limitless diversity. Similarly, parenting has limitless diversity. Everybody has different experiences. Therefore, anyone who is giving a talk on parenting, they cannot be sitting to say that I am a successful parent. A successful parent in regards to their children, how much? We have to ask the children. So let us study. I will take 4 to 5 principles. The first principle is harmonizing the masculine and feminine energy in regards to parenting. It's a harmonizing the concrete and the abstract. It is the harmonizing between affection and efficiency. It is harmonizing between discipline and helping them to discover. That is the first subject in these 2 days. And second one is, we will discuss about the brain parenting, turning knowledge into wisdom. That is the second topic. And the third topic, the most fascinating topic in the Bhagavad Gita, the topic of Dvandva. And therefore I said, no one can ever write, no one can ever disseminate the knowledge of perfect parenting. It is always the progressive parenting. It is about growing parenting. It is about discovering about parenthood. Even the greatest of the great personalities, right? If you study in the scripture and if you study in the history also, that is not the limitation of the parents. When I tell you these few examples, Lord Krishna had a son like Pradyumna, and Lord Krishna also had a son like Sambha. He was nice, but if you study the Bhagavatam, study the Mahabharata, he was the one who invoked the curse for the entire Yadukula. One may say that's God's will, but we are here to study. We gave the example of Anga, right? And then Ravana was a son of a rishi, right? Pulastha Rishi, Pulaha Rishi, his descendant. What happened to him? In the modern history, right, one of the sons of Mahatma Gandhi, what happened to him? Go and study what happened to him. Gandhiji was leading the entire country, that is what many people believe, but one of his sons turned out to be completely Darvish. The great Advaita Acharya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami personally writes that 3 of his sons became asara, useless. Srila Prabhupada told about his own story also. Without any hesitation, it is there in the Lilamrita, everybody reads. One of his sons rebelled against him. He wanted to take over. So this is not surprising to find that the children failing to continue the legacy of the family, and therefore Krishna, what does he say? He says, understand this principle of Dvandva. And what is this duality? In duality, for everyone who is born in this world, they have to deal with the limitation of their own self and the limitation of the relationship with their children, their spouse, their family, their friends. Right? There is potential and there is a limitation. That's a third subject on parenting, Dvandva. And fourth one, we are going to deal with harmonizing between self-discovery, that is Swa, and discovering the relationship with the universe, that is Sarva. Swa and Sarva. And one of the most important principle in parenting, we will see that self-discovery is not synonymous to selfishness. Atma Sakshatkar or self-discovery, again as I said, is not synonymous to selfishness. Many times, especially in the spiritual circle, we believe that if I start discovering myself, I am becoming selfish. Again, one of the very interesting principle of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, after completing this seminar, we are doing a shorter course. It's a 4-day course, Nurturing Your Nature. It's a registered course, right? And the core theme of this course will be, self-discovery. There is a fear amongst the people, especially among the subordinate, to talk about self-discovery, especially in the spiritual circle. But the entire Bhagavad Gita is spoken to Arjuna, focusing and keeping Arjuna in the center, helping him to discover his self, because unless you exist, your society does not exist for you. We will discover that in a limited way. And the fifth and the concluding topic would be harmonizing between my passion and my opportunities. Harmonizing between my passion and my profession. This is one of the greatest dichotomy, right? I have a great passion, but there is no money. And there is great wealth, opportunity to make money, but the passion is not there. How do I harmonize this? So these are the 5 subjects we will try to cover in our parenting seminar. The first one is integrated parenting, letting the child experience both masculine energy and feminine energy. I remember listening to one very hard working, responsible an American, Afro-American, talking about his own story. And what was his story? He said, my story was what I learned from my upbringing. He said, my upbringing told me that the motherhood and the fatherhood, they are not against each other. They are not supposed to be against each other. They are supposed to be complementing each other. So rather than calling it as a father and mother, of course father and mother, we can also call it a feminine and masculine energy. And generally masculine energy for major part of the time is displayed by a male. That was the general understanding also. Doesn't mean that women do not have feminine energy. It doesn't mean that man should not have a feminine energy. Women should have a masculine energy and man should also have a feminine energy. But here we are focusing on the concept of parenting. The motherhood, what does it do? Motherhood gives rise to abstract freedom. It helps the children because of the affection to explore their boundaries. How far can I go? So the children will want to explore more and more. The feminine energy is like the flow of a river without the boundaries. And the masculine energy, what does it do? It gives structure, it gives system, it gives rhythm. So when there is a rhythm and there is a flow, then the flow and the rhythm, what does it do? It gives rise to at least having a proper experiencing of parenthood. Therefore, however much you hear this concept, the concept of there is no limit how much we can give love to our children. There are many quotes. People say, love has no limitation. Giving love is not compared to giving things. But anything, some sermon, the South American, the Native Americans, somebody asked one of their leader, what is poison? Yeah, there is an objective poison and there is a subjective poison. There is a consequential of our activity which turned into be a poison. One can say poison is cyanide. One can say snake poison is a poison. One bite of a snake. Today is Naga Panchami. We grew up celebrating Naga Panchami. It's a very interesting, very fascinating subject also. So one may say there is an objective poison, that is a snake poison, some virus poison, some chemical poison that kills human being instantly. But here it was a philosophical question raised to this Native American, and what he said? He said anything which is excessive, anything which is out of balance, and he said including love, including prema, has the power to destroy you. Some of the greatest unfortunate beings in this world, certainly those who do not have the parents, we agree, biological parents are not there, they are not raised by their own parents, that is there, that's a different kinds of misfortune. But there is another kind of misfortune, is that a child only receives unconditional love from the parents, and the child consciously or unconsciously becomes conditioned to such unconditional love. When you become conditioned to something, that very condition will destroy our reality of life. Because the mother can love me, father can love me unconditionally. And if I have the experience of experiencing the only unconditional love, the world does not love us unconditionally. World is a ruthless place. No? When a child who is raised and loved unconditionally is thrown into the real world, what does he or she experience? They experience shock, they experience trauma, they experience lack of resistance to handle such challenging situation. So therefore, it is an interesting principle, and we see all over. Whether it is Chanakya, whether it is Bhagavad Gita, whether it is Ayurveda, whether it is Rasa Shastra, we will see that. We will understand the core fundas of this principle. Now, what does Chanakya said? Lalayat, Tadayat, and Mitravad Acharyat. Three principles he spoke. He said Lalayat. Lalayat is unconditional love. Tadayat. What is Tadayat? Now, literal meaning of Tadayat is like Tadan Karna, punishing. But the concept of Tadayat means disciplining. And the third is Mitravat. Mitravat Acharyat. Dealing with your children like friends. When I send this message about this parenting seminar, some of our devotee children, they asked me, can you speak about a seminar on how the children should become friends with their family. Their complaint was the parents are friend to the entire world except their own children. When it comes to giving advice, they have scripture. When it comes to taking advice, they quote wrong scriptures. Or you don't know submission? What have you learned? Where you have gone? So they give this kind of logic. So for them, it is an affectionate reality that children are always my children. But there is the biological, psychological, hormone related reality that even though the child is your child, but at some point of time the child becomes your friend, and in that friendship, if you allow that child to become your friend, then there will be a great transaction between the child and the parents, not based upon reckless behavior. It is based upon a responsible growth, where they have achieved the position of becoming your friend, and they should have the facility, they should have the ability, they should have the wisdom to convey, to communicate consciously to their parent about what they believe, what they feel about anything under the carpet. So there is Lalayat, there is Tadayat, and there is Mitravat. These are the three aspects of parenting. We know all about this. But one interesting principle of Lalayat is, even though we hear 5 years, till 5 years you should give them limitless love, and till the age of 16, 6 to 16 we should discipline them, and beyond 16 years they should be treated as friends. In fact, Chanakya says Mitravat, Shishyat and Mitravat, the Putra and Shishya should be treated like a friend. So the 5-year-old concept is this, it is not based upon 5 years, it is based upon psychological growth. Some children may handle maturity beyond their age. Nowadays kids are having showing maturity beyond their age. Now that is not to be celebrated. Unfortunately, we celebrate that. It should be a warning that why my child is becoming too mature to his age or her age. Right? That's not very good. So therefore, some children may need to be treated disciplinedly at the age of 3 only, and some may need to be treated with affection till the age of 6 or 7 also, because the year 5 is based upon their development. It is not based upon the seasons what they have spent with you. Generally it was like that before. And again Krishna speaks about this yukta ahara, yukta vihara, yukta chestasu karmasu, yukta sapnava bhodasya yogo bhavati dukkha. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna talk about? He talks about this beautiful concept of discipline, because the entire creation. Other day I had a very interesting conversation with two very interesting people. They have walked their journey in regards to education differently, and one of the teacher was asking him this question, one of these expert peoples in education. One of them is called as Pawan Gupta ji. He has written a book called as Matter of Quality. He asked this question: how do you deal with your children when the COVID is happening? How do you engage them? The school children, how much can you engage them? Because learning online, where the multi-dimensional is not there, the classroom atmosphere, that unique smell, that unique sound, that unique rhythm, that is not there. Minus all of them, learning without all the experiences of childhood is very, very challenging and difficult. So they asked this question, and then they mentioned about allowing children to explore. Then another question came, yes, exploration is there. And then one of the expert, Arunji, was saying, this material world gives limitless scope for exploration. Exploration is infinite. How much can you allow children to explore? And it is but natural that our tendency to create a timetable. The world is limitlessly explorable, but the limitation what we put to them is so limited and boring. It is like a bamboo stick rather than a banana tree. The growth does not happen, right? So therefore, Pawanji was telling, one of the best thing to tell children now, because they are sitting inside the house, let the parent expect this reality. What is it? The existence is the most important principle, and learning, let it become an inner reality. Discovery क्या होना चाहिए? अभी घर पे बैठ के sitting inside the house, they can discover. What they can discover? They can discover the entire house, the kitchen. They can discover about the ant. And the best thing is that they can discover in regards to their family tree. What is their kula, where did they come from, what was 5 generation, what is 7 generation, what was 8 generation. Talk to all your relatives, make a tree of your family, right? So when you make the tree of that family, discuss with them, talk to them, and if they can write, it's okay. If they cannot write, if they can share with the other teachers, whether it is sharing, whether it is through poetry, whether it is writing, whether it is presentation, however they want to do, the freedom should be given to them. So there is a discipline in regards to not exploring beyond their limit, but there is not like a bamboo, not a straight line. There is a circle created to them so that they can explore. So therefore, why do we integrate? exploration gives rise to awakening of different rasas. Therefore, it is explained that integrated emotions are part of life. Rasa, we will discuss that. And giving only one rasa is isolated. Unconditional love is one kind of rasa. Therefore, Vatsalya ras is there. Somebody said, remember, you are not raising your child alone. Remember that you are not raising your child alone. You are raising a citizen. You are raising a devotee for those who are practicing spirituality. You are raising a yogi if you are practicing Ashtanga Yoga. You are raising a dharmic person. You are raising a student. You are raising a husband. You are raising a wife. You are raising a daughter-in-law. How? Just imagine when we are raising a child, our concept of raising is it is my child. No? We only identify their role with us or our role with them is based upon a very extremely limited reality which is called as father, mother and child's relationship. And what does it do? That actually breaks them from experiencing all kinds of rasas. Now when Bharat Muni wrote the Rasa Shastra, bear this in mind. Rasa Shastra was the contribution of Bharata Muni. What did he do? He saw in the entire creation, he saw in many literatures of Sanatan Dharma, and he realized that all the dramas, all the stories, they are filled with many rasas. But Bharat Muni's interest was focusing on the drama, dance, music. There are Shringar Rasa, there is Vatsalya Rasa. But when he compiled those Rasa Shastra, when you see that Rasa Shastra, you realize that this Rasa Shastra is nothing but the reality of everybody's life. Of course, Abhinav Gupta and Rupa Goswami, they spiritualized it. Rupa Goswami, living in Vrindavan, connected his entire concept of Rasa Shastra to Krishna's relationship to his devotees. But there is one, what is Rasa basically? Rasa is nothing but when you interact with different relationships with your family. There is the unconditional love with your mother, but there is a battle with your sister or brother. There is a Bibhatsya Rasa, right? It could be 2-year-old, it could be 1-year-old, it could be 3-year-old, and it could be 3.5-year-old or 4-year-old. They are pulling each other's hair, they are screaming, they are shouting. And you also experience sharing of things, right? The sister is telling about her own love affair to her brother, don't tell anybody. There is an adventure, there is a protection, there is an adventure. When there is a larger interaction with the family in regards to many relationships, you experience more rasas. You have the capacity to handle many rasas. And one of the greatest tragedy of modern world is that all our rasas, what we experience is, they are not real, they are very synthetic. There is an emotional outburst watching some movies, watching a cricket match, hearing a speech in a political rally. But the whole experience of different rasas, what we go through, happens in your very home because it is multidimensional, right? And as much as children or parents experience a limited number of rasas, that much their growth becomes very limited. And therefore, if there is any tragedy in the modern world, I was talking to one devotee friend, we were discussing that how in the modern world, because the children do not experience multi-faceted relationships in regards to rasa, then when it comes to handling challenging situation, dealing with your mother-in-law, dealing with somebody's sickness, the first reaction is that I don't want to take care of it. Where does this come from? It comes from the very core principle given by the parents to their children. Any challenging situation, the parents agreed to compromise with their children because I can't do this. The children would just say that. And that becomes their legacy. When that becomes their legacy, and you suffer the consequences of that legacy, because when you become sick, because you never gave the experience to your children, the bhibatsya rasa, right? Just see, there are bhayanaka rasa. I remember one time I had taken some children to an orphanage. And what do you see in orphanage, especially kids from a very affluent area like South Bombay only. And then when we took there, they do see in one sense bhayanakta. I remember in 80s we used to go to certain place for feeding orphan children, and it was extremely gruesome. 40 children staying in a small place, their beds are stinking. You can't handle that. Of course we understand the small children should not be exposed to that, but eventually as they are growing, they need to get the dose of different kinds of rasas, the bhayanak ras. If you do not develop the resistance, when something which they imagine to be bhayanak, they will run away from them. So there is the bhayanak ras, there is a hasya ras, not stand-up comedian. Why do you think the stand-up comedians are making so much of money? Because the concept of nukkad comedy, which would happen in your day-to-day life every day with your family, friends around, has stopped. It is gone. And this commercial comedy, the stand-up comedian, will not give you that kind of comedy. Instead of within their comedy, they will add insidious, poisonous concept. Now, many of these comedians are hardcore, leftist, disruptive of family tradition and culture. I am not saying everybody, but many of them. Right. So therefore, when we are talking about, don't talk about watching comedy movie. You may do that, but that is not called as hasya rasa. Rasa is basically awakening of emotions when we are interacting with the real world, with real people. They are our relatives, their family, their friends. And then there is rudrasa, the emotion of rudra, emotion of anger. I was talking to one the well accomplished defense person turned into be a teacher, taught in the international school, and he was telling me in the international school the concept of, now all the schools are trying to do that, the concept of telling the bad news does not exist. People cannot handle the bad news. Therefore, there is a superficial, artificial positivity. Everybody should be given a prize, participation prize, right? Coming to the stage pride, just being a student prize. So what does it do? It creates a wrong socialistic idea. If I can get without working for it, why work in the very first place? By the very nature, the living entity, what do they want to do? They want to always look for the shortcut. When the shortcut is available, why should I put any efforts? And therefore this positivity, this positive talk, bereft of duality, we will discuss that, is very dangerous. What is our affirmation? Our affirmation is that Krishna and the universe give me the courage to handle both sides of the stories of my life. If you do not, like Prabhupada mentioned, he said, if your guru does not chastise you, then you don't have a guru. But that does not mean that somebody always keeps chastising you. I am purifying you. I am purifying you. When there is only chastisement without giving attention, that is a poison that is sure shot destroys your consciousness. It doesn't matter who does it to you. Whether your well-meaning parents do, whether your spiritual master does, whether it is your husband does, whether your wife does, whether your teacher does not matter. If it is one emotion you are experiencing, the emotions of only getting chastised by your superiors, your growth is poisonous, because there is an excessiveness, adbhuta rasa, emotion of wonder. The entire technology, what does it tell you? The entire technology tell you, you can control it. You see how the fingers run amongst the children. So fast, so quick. Everything is within the tip of the fingers. They do not experience Adbhuta Rasa. Again, Adbhuta Rasa is not connected to machines. Adbhuta Rasa is connected to Prakriti, and it is connected to a great contribution. It has to be common logic, it has to be common thing, where we experience that. When you see a flower growing on the tree, you're seeing that small bud, opening up very nicely. When you see the whole growth of that flower, that wow factor is the integrated substantial wow factor, as against seeing something, a massive mall. What is the consumer's consciousness? The consumer's consciousness is to control. I control it without realizing that I am being controlled. But here the Adbhuta Rasa, what children or parent experience, is that wow factor. Just watching. I remember Radhanath Swami Maharaj telling once, when you do cooking class in America, this American student, they saw something first time in their life. He was teaching them how to make puris. Right. When they are making puris, they roll the puri. And what is puri? When you roll it, the floor is very flat. And you put that puri in the oil, and suddenly it becomes such a ball. And he said their eyes would become big. Wow! That is called as wonder. That is called as wonder. I can never forget that experience of wonder. When I had gone to Mussoorie assisting some of the sannyasis because they wanted to learn Hindi. And I didn't know how to make pulka, but I knew how to make chapatis, because in one sense it's easier to make, but pulka is difficult. But I knew some of this, the teachers, they wanted pulka because it was a winter, it was in the Himalayas. And I asked some devotees, they only told me how to do it. Right. Never got to experience directly. So when I went there, when I placed that first roti as instructed by, in those times there was no YouTube, there was nobody, basically, being shy also, I didn't ask somebody to teach me personally. So when I placed that chapati, that pulka on the fire, and then placed in the empty fire, I can still see that picture. There are millions of experiences, but that pulka rising, becoming full and putting in the plate of the sannyasis, that was a wow factor. You can experience that wow factor inside your own house. Are we giving that wow factor? So therefore rasas, again I want to redefine, rasa is nothing but when there is a natural reaction between the family and the child sees the puri, see the milk coming out of the cow's udder, right? When you make Srikhand, when you make a gulab jamun, when you make a rasmalai, right? When they see that the flavor, the fragrance, the transformation, that wow factor, it is so important, and the synthetic things do not give you the wow factor. So then next is the emotion of disgust. Like other day we were discussing with some of our devotee friends. Many times people say, parents should not fight in the presence of their children. It is yes and no, both. When the child is very small, when the child is supposed to experience affection, loving affectionate, they can avoid. But when the children are basically maturing, right, let them understand your limitations. Let them understand a relationship is not always hunky-dory. In relationship there are limitations, there are vulnerable situations. It is okay to have a conflict in front of your children, grown-up children. I remember talking to one boy, he was in 9th standard, and his parents were, they were spiritual counselors. And they said, he saw them having some conflict. And he told me, Prabhuji, what is this? They are made into counselor. They are fighting. What they will teach others? I said, my dear friend, you are wanting them to be superhuman because they have some position. And many times it happens, those who are in position, they try to act so cool and so nice and so perfect, and it is such a fake and artificial. Right? It is so artificial. Therefore, let them experience that, the momentary disgust, in relationship. What is this? Let them experience that, because this is part of the rasa. You cannot artificially avoid that. And then emotion of heroism. What is heroism? Heroism is not only going to the battlefield. Heroism is that you are able to stand up for injustice. It doesn't matter where the injustice is happening. Let them see that, mother is able to stand up and give back to her husband. And the husband can stand up and give back to his wife. They should see both. And it is a very interesting principle. When the child does not experience integrated relationship of the family, if he or she only experiences dominating relationship, this is my gut feeling, this is my experience, this is what I have seen many times, and I tell this, that if you have a dominating father and a very, very, very submissive wife and a mother, your son will turn out to be an idiot and very, very, very shy and always withdrawn. Because generally Prabhupada also says, even the Ayurveda says, that the boy child takes on to the qualities of the mother. It is for your own loss, not allowing the friendship for your wife, because your offspring, your legacy will be imbalanced. And if the lady is based upon this modern feministic ideology, that we will stand against our man, we will not allow them to rule, and therefore wanting to be very aggressive. And some men unfortunately do fall for that trap and become so submissive, and as it explained, their daughter will become exactly like their fathers. क्यों? क्योंकि रसों का सम आदान प्रदान नहीं हुआ. No, it did not happen. If you read in the scripture, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but Krishna's friends, there are different levels of friends. Rupa Goswami explains that. But there are some friends of Krishna, they are so intimate, they can actually, like Mathura Vasis, right? Our acharyas must have not written, but amongst the boys in the villages, affectionate kicking at each other, hitting at each other, fighting with each other, jokingly pulling, pushing, is part of the boy's growth. Nowadays, that kind of interaction is considered as harsh, that is considered as uncivilized, that is considered as not refined. So what happens then? Manliness of the boy is taken away, and therefore Krishna's friends had the courage, natural interaction with Krishna to tell her, तू तो झूठ बोल रहा है, फेंकता है तू, you are saying that you did like this, and at the same time they could also show their love. In interaction between Krishna and Krishna's friend, many rasas were evoked, including the rasa of affectionate brotherhood, right? So, and then the last one is Karuna ras. There are main 5 primary rasas and there are 7 secondary rasas. The Karuna ras, one of the greatest tragedy, like I was talking to this devotee friend, there are families, elderly parents, they have very competent, qualified children, having a great degrees, but mother or father alone are staying alone. There is a daridrata of relationship. There is a daridrata of relationship. When that daridrata of relationship is there, elderly person, when they are supposed to experience different kinds of relationship, they are sitting alone, taken care by the servant or a nurse, is a very painful reality. So therefore, this is connected to what? Different emotions. As much as our children experience balanced, diverse emotions, it is guaranteed, but when they grow in this world, they can continue the legacy for future generation. Now let us take the example of food also. When we see food, what do you see in the food? Now this was an amazing principle. You go back, especially those who are our generation, if you go back to your grandparents in your memory lane, go back to your parents, go back to your village, go back to your more connected society kind of atmosphere, what do you see there? You see different seasons. Today is the Naga Panchami. I remember during Naga Panchami, there is a particular ingredient you are supposed to eat. No, the laddu is made of moong. The laya made of jwari. Right? Very light to deal with the pitta. Every season had a festival, and every festival had a unique food, and that would automatically change. Giving regularly a cleanser for your stomach with certain oil in the milk was a common thing. It is not that the house was a hotel and the child will say, Mummy, I want a pizza, I want a pizza, I want a pizza, I want a pizza. No, it was not based upon what the child likes. It is based upon what is liked by the child system. आहार एक विज्ञान था, आहार एक कोई हिप्पीगिरी नहीं था. You go back and see about that. And therefore, what does the Shastra say? Again, Shastra, just like there is a rasa in relationship, there is a taste in the food also. What is that? First is madhura ras, that is sweet, and there is sour, the amla. There is salty, there is labana. There is bitter, tiktha, like turmeric, dark leafy greens, and there is pungent, katu, chilies and peppers, and there is astringent, kashaya, raw banana, herbs, raw fruits. So these 6 kinds of rasa or taste was given to everybody. Yes, there was a dal which is sweet like a Gujarati dal, but there was also neem chutney which you had to eat. There was a Karela sabji, there was a Srikhand, there was dahi kadi also, there was a rice masala bhat, there was a khichdi also, there is a black pepper added also. So the ladies in the kitchen, they were naturally Vaidyas only through the food only. So what that would do? That would allow the body to experience different kinds of taste. The relationship would allow them to experience different kinds of emotions. And therefore, do you ever remember 20-30 years ago, 30 years ago, where the parents or the children ever talked about boring and depression? When we grew up, the resources were less, but the rasas were very rich. The taste was very rich. In the modern world, the resources are limitless, but they are flat. They lack rasas, they lack taste, because we allow the children to experience what they want instead of what is good for them. And let us see in the Shruti only. Shrutis are not only talking about Brahman, Shrutis are not only talking about Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shrutis also talk about the basic concept of what happens when you eat different kinds of food. One is it is explained when food transforms into 3 ways: gross, semi-solid and subtle. The undigested hard food becomes excreta, and therefore when you go to Vaidya, what do they ask you? Okay, what is the color of your stool? Is it liquid? Is it hard? They ask all kind of these embarrassing questions, because that defines your health situation. And if your health is defined in such a way, your mind is defined in different way. If your mind is defined in different way, your discretion, the ability to understand, analyze also differs. एक स्टूल के कारण, एक मल के कारण आपके व्यक्तित्व को, आपके मानसिकता को पहचानने की क्षमता होती है. And therefore, that transforms many things. The soft digested food becomes flesh. देखो, that means the kind of food we eat. In fact, the whole entire process of sadhana, life itself is a sadhana. If we take life itself as a sadhana, then there is so much of a transformation. And the subtle becomes the mind. Please hear this. जो हर रोज, if every day somebody is eating a sandwich, substance ने उसमें दम नहीं है, मैदा का बना हुआ है, right? It is not flexible, it is not tough, it is not rusty, it's plain white and falling apart. If you put the bread inside the water, what happens? It falls apart immediately. But if you put a roti in the water, it takes a longer time. If you put a lay chips into the water, what happens? If you put solid roasted, not fried but roasted aloo in the water, what happens? जहां सत्व है वहां समय लेता है. Somebody was telling in Ayurveda, it is explained, eating a fruit and drinking a juice. Drinking juice is very difficult for the digestive system because the saliva is not created. It is comfortable, but वो रसों को नहीं उत्पन्न करता, परंतु अपने रसों को नाश कर देता है. Therefore, one very great poet in Kannada, great poet in Kannada, in Karnataka, he made a very interesting point. He said, Rasave Jivana, Virasave Marana. No, Rasave Janma, Virasave Marana, and Samarasave Jivana. Once again, Rasave Janma. Janma means Rasa is birth. Virasave Marana. Virasa. जहां रसहीनता है, रस की क्षमता कम है, मात्रा कम है, what is that? That is death. And samarasave jivana, harmony of all different kinds of rasas, taste, is life, and other than this, basically it is a poisonous reality. And then therefore the subtle becomes the mind. Interesting principle. Now the water. Now water and all kinds of liquid things, kashai, kada, juice. What juice? Lemon juice, Amsol juice, not Sprite, not 7-Up, not Pepsi, not Coke. You can drink that also, because everything what we consume, it is not simply the water. What does it do? Let us see here. Gross water becomes urine. As much as there is the acidity in the water, that creates a trouble to our urinary tract. So understand very simple principle. And the subtler particles of the liquid becomes blood. Oh my God, just see the next one is, that's a wow factor. The most subtler makes prana. What is prana? Prana is the ability to resist. When there is a proper breathing, तो ब्रीदिंग होने के कारण सब्सटेंस निकलता है, और वो सब्सटेंस के कारण झेलने की क्षमता बढ़ जाती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, व्हेन यू ड्रिंक लस्सी और छाछ, buttermilk, as much as that buttermilk churned according to the Indian system, like Mother Yashoda would churn back and forth, it gives rise to amazing prana in that lassi or chas. And when you drink that is a different reality only. So that is the second thing. And the third one is, what is that? Teja, ghee. Teja, which is ghee, in Ayurveda, Teja Vaigritaha. The gross Teja becomes bones. यानी कि घी हड्डियां बन जाती है. The semi-solid becomes majja or mucus, part between the flesh and the bones. Now this is very interesting. The last is, the subtler part becomes vak, the power of speech. अगर शुद्ध गाय का घी लिया है तो शराब पीने वाला दिन भर जो गाय का दूध नहीं पीता, जो शुद्ध गाय का घी नहीं खाता, तो he or she may be very good in speaking in English tongue, but what are they speaking? What are they speaking? यू नो। तो जहां वाक में शक्ति हो, एंड व्हाट डज दिस वाक शक्ति डू? दिस वाक शक्ति's energy is not clean. It has the power to create a disruption. आज का समाज दुर्भाग्यवश तोड़ने पे तुला हुआ है. You know, they are there to break the society rather than build the society. Hanumanji knew the art of speaking, and his fine speech united Mother Sita to Lord Ram. And Shurpanaka's mass khane wali, right, obnoxious behavior, what happened to her? She spoke, and her speech basically destroyed the Lanka. Therefore, all the speakers, whether it is news media, whether it is a spiritual speaker, whether it is a political speaker, the goal should not be disruption. The goal should be integration. प्रकृति, परमात्मा और जीव, इनको इंटीग्रेट करना यही शब्दों का मुख्य उद्देश्य होना चाहिए. Right. Then I'm just making this point, this subject I took longer time, the first one, because this is what we see in the universe. और इसको देखना चाहिए. Right. So what do we see in this world? Unfortunately, the 6 rutus, the 6 seasons, we have stopped seeing them at all. हमको उसका अनुभव नहीं होता. Fortunately, because of the corona, many people are experiencing. I was talking to lots of people, you know, they are growing some kind of chilies, lemon, kadi patta. If they are staying in Mumbai, they are making it grow and experiencing the wow factor. उधर ही fragrance है. Like, how would you recognize different seasons in India? Just by the flowers. No, just by the atmosphere. Right. Just contemplate, इसके ऊपर ध्यान लगाओ. What is that? I remember when I was going to school, you know, there was a neighboring girls' school also. And what would you see there? Their braided hair was covered with different kinds of flowers. You know, there was no artificial perfume, but there was a natural flower. It would remind you of different seasons. The teachers would talk about those seasons. They would talk about different months. अभी क्या देखते हो? If you try to wear such flowers, you can use artificial perfume that makes you look very, very refined. But if you put flower, that will be considered as primitive. यानी कि भारतीयों से बढ़कर और ज्यादा दुर्भागी कोई नहीं है. पाश्चात्य देश में फूल नहीं मिलते हैं. They don't get it. So therefore they have to transform them into so much of chemical and then make it into perfume. But here you have tons of flowers, but we have stopped the whole science of experiencing different seasons, different taste of life, different colorfulness. You know, even in the colors, right? The children in the school wear one kind of uniform, 2 maximum, 3 maximum, but everybody in the same color. No? That is again a bamboo like. And when they come home, even the girls are wearing a plain color. It is not about tradition, it is about a science of experience. Every color represent a different kinds of emotions. हर एक रंग में अलग अलग प्रकार के भावनाएं होती है. And therefore the 6 Rutus, if you study carefully, Vasanta Rutu, it is a spring, Grishma Rutu, it is a summer, Varsha Rutu, it is a monsoon, Sharad Rutu, it is autumn, Hemant Rutu, it is pre-winter, and Shishir Ritu, it is winter. Even in the sky, early morning hours, when you see the sky, you will see every day a sky is little different from the other day. And therefore the sensitive farmers in the villages, simply by seeing the sky, they could predict what could happen after 3 or 4 months in regards to rains and other things. And therefore the integrated parenting, what does it do? It has a main 2 core foundation. The foundation of it is combination of Rudra and Shiva. What is Shiva? Shiva is always be nice and kind. Ashutosh, always अपने बच्चों को आशीर्वाद देते रहो. I remember, one of our devotee friend, my age only, I can't forget this. This was just 2-3 years ago. Our Sitanath Prabhu, mother was giving him a tiffin. She gave him a tiffin and she called Bhadram. Bhadram. Bhadram means what? Let there be Bhadra. I can't translate this in English. You figure it out. Bhadram. No, she said Bhadram. That one word, I never met her. That word Bhadram is still ringing in my ears. Right. So the point is, there is a mother's affectionate protection which Mother Kaushalya also placed on Lord Ram. She circumambulated Lord Ram 3 times. For what? To give him Bhadram, कि मेरे कवच आपकी रक्षा करेगी. Mother represents concern and care, and father represents adventure and discovery. And for adventure and discovery, it is but natural that the father has to push the child in the swimming pool. When you push the child in the swimming pool, what happens? The water goes into your mouth, the water goes into your eyes, the water goes into your ear, you start suffocating. That's a painful, right? But unless the child is pushed into Rudra Tattva, shock, it cannot experience the auspiciousness properly. Riding the bicycle, what a stupidity. In the name of safety, the whole concept of this modern safety has destroyed the safety of our children. What is the point in existing safe in regards to not having a scratch on our body at all and having limitless scratch in our mind and in our intellect? वो शौर्य, वो वीरता, हैंडल करने की क्षमता बच्चों में खत्म हो गई है और उसको और भी खत्म करते जा रहे in the name of safety. So if you ever want to teach your children bicycle, let them fall. क्या हो सकता है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा? Yes, it is a costly affair, but eventually it will be a costlier affair. ये जो छोटे छोटे चीज थे ना, कि a mother will always want the safety and the father should want the child's movement. वहाँ safety चाहिए and they are not contradictory, they are absolutely non-contradictory. They are a great harmony. There should not be no conflict between mother and father in regards to safety and adventure. So therefore Rudra and Shiva, when they are harmonized, at the right time Rudra Shakti, at the right time the Shiva Shakti. And second is flute and stick. In Vrindavan we study, what do we study? Mother Yashoda has a stick in her hand. She has the stick in her hand, and so also she has a What is there in her hand? She also has the butter. Similarly, Mother Kali represents the anger potency of Prakriti, Daivi Tattva, and Radharani represents the unconditional love. But those who are not gracious enough, that very Radharani can turn into Kali, because the samne wala party, if is not willing to accept that. And we see that in New Year. I only focused on what we see in the nature. During the New Year in India, it was always the combination of bitter and sweet. We never said Happy New Year. We said Shubha Navavarsha. बहुत बड़ा अंतर है. No, there is a big difference. Of course, nowadays you cannot even say this. I hardly see these statements because this has been misused. What is that? Spare the rod and spoil the child. The rod has disappeared, and therefore the child will disappear. The child within, the discoverer child, the adventurous child will disappear. Now, rod is not necessarily to punish, to beat the child. A rod represents a straightness, a discipline, rhythm in their life. So without that rod, it is guaranteed the problem will happen. The Marathi saying is there, Chadi lage cham cham, vidya ye gham gham. We have heard it. Now these are the most profound wisdom of life, right? When the iron is hot, if you ever go and see the blacksmith, what does he do? He takes a hammer. When he puts that, the iron into the fire, because of that fire, now iron is ready to take different kinds of shape, and taking shape involves the blacksmith hammering with a powerful rod or a hammer and giving different kinds of shape to that melted iron. And if it do not give that shape, it is not that free hammering onto that rod or not hammering to that rod will give automatic shape. It's a harmony between the two. Therefore, it's a very important to understand. We will take more principles tomorrow on this subject and also try to cover other 4 subjects. As I said, after these 2 sessions in the next month, we are having a 4 sessions based on this principle, getting into more detail, but it's a registered course, getting into the deeper aspect of psychology, 3 modes of material nature, Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? If you have any questions. If one parent has to live in a different city, what can be done? So therefore again, there is no sympathy in regards to objective laws. People can be sympathetic to us, but the laws are not sympathetic. Prakriti, I give this very bitter example. What is it? The bitter example is, if you put your finger in the fire, it will burn. And a great yogi also puts his finger, even a pure devotee puts his finger in the fire, it will burn. The perspective of a pure devotee might be different, but the burning principle will happen. So therefore, however much we sympathize ourselves, oh, what can be done, this is the reality of my life, I have to be in some other city and my wife have to be here, and based upon that behavior, there will be a different kind of consequences. Sorry, that I know I interact, I try to be sympathetic about this, but because we are talking about principles of life also, so therefore every decision we make, every choices we make, there are very objective results. They are very objective results, and they have to be perceived through subjective reality also. You can say abhi kya karega, philosophically you may say okay, this is Kali Yuga and this is what happened. So what is that? That is a subjective reality. But what is the objective reality? Objective reality, if the child is not experiencing even that main relationship, we are talking about Navarasas, we are talking about 7 rasas. Even in that 7 rasa, there is lack. What does it do? Anything lack of rasa, excessive absence or excessive rasa turns out to be a poison. Let us understand, and then we can discuss what to do with this poison. Let us not compromise. I would want to be sympathetic, but since I am talking principles here, the laws are laws. How do I do with that laws? That is a different story. How do you know when the child is mature enough to experience the different rasas like parents fighting, etc.? When the child asks you, Papa, why are you fighting? Why are you harassing the mummy? Why are you harassing Papa? Right? Therefore, it is explained, it is very interesting. When your children raise questions, don't call them harsh and unsubmissive. They don't have a proper etiquette. When they raise questions, even if they are very tough questions, understand that either our behavior is making them more mature than what they are supposed to be. Change your behavior, or understand they become mature and deal with those questions. Again, the same principle. There is no excuses in regards to laws of nature. It doesn't matter which yuga it is. It does not matter whether it is Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga. It does not matter in regards to the, yes, in Satya Yuga the quality may be in 100%, but you can't say because it is Kali Yuga I don't want any experience. You still have to pass. Even in Kali Yuga, you can say Lord Chaitanya has made it easier, but you have to pass. As much as there are broken rasas, that much it causes a trouble in our spiritual practices and our life's journey also. That is but natural. That's a reality of life. Yes. You have another question? What do you do if a 6-year-old kid has having his own opinion, is sensitive in a positive way? So again, if the child is asking, 6-year-old child asking a question, generally nowadays what I have seen, when a 6-year-old child makes an opinion of his own or her own, that is not very healthy. Let us not glorify the immature maturity of our child. No, the opinion making child, instead of becoming a confident, could have become arrogance also. Right? So therefore it is better to see from a warning perspective. Right? And if you see, it is positive because ultimately it's a very personal experience, but let us not be blinded by the opinion of the people in regards. So that's the modern children are so intelligent, they are so sharp, they are so upfront, they are so great, they are better than what we were. This is nothing but trying to make a golden age of a stupid experiences of life. Again, as I said, I'm being harsh today, that is not my style, but the reality is, since we are discussing the first subject, if they are making opinion, and even if it is a wise opinion, and every time they are winning, it is not good for them. Discard their opinion ruthlessly if that makes them arrogant, even if it is the right opinion, not because you want to win, but they keep on winning, they are making their opinion and everybody is taking them seriously. It is not good for them. But as I said again, it is extremely subjective. Therefore, the learning the wisdom of interaction become very important. Another person asked this question about, what if our upbringing is different compared to what we are raising our children? Doesn't matter. Knowledge, wisdom of life does not depend only upon our upbringing. It may have some bearing to that, but if you learn, therefore one of the great principle of Sanatan Dharma is that there is an opportunity to grow at any stage of our life. No, it doesn't matter what upbringing you have. Knowledge is beyond experience, and knowledge and wisdom can actually change our experience into a proper upbringing. Therefore, किसी भी अवस्था में at any given point of time, one should not feel, oh, it's a lost case. It's never a lost case. What about experience of relationship with animals? Yes, if you have only dogs and cats and no human beings, then those kind of emotions are also like synthetic emotions only. If you study again, I was talking to a director of our hospital. He said even the animals which are not naturally part of your life, but you have made it artificially natural part of your life, then what does it do? It is basically like a smartphone only. The dog is not fighting with you. Dog is submissive to you. And therefore people avoid all human relationship and only connect with the animals. That is nothing but escapism. But animal is part of this greater part of your relationship, the family, children, the dog and the cat and the cow. Again, we Indians are so blinded. There is no limit to our colonization. No, there is no limit to our colonization. Like when I spoke about the, in my Insta talk on Black Life, all life matters, right? You could do so much more here, where 130 crore people are there, right? So just imagine that we start imitating the Western people in regards to having a dogs in the house. We can keep 2 dogs, but not my grandfather and grandmother. I can have 4 cats, but I can't interact with this particular personality. तो उसका परिणाम क्या होगा? You may experience synthetic affection, but there is no reciprocation of different rasas. That was the point I was talking about. And more the number of human relationship, and along with that more animals, then more the merrier, because diverse dynamic relationship creates a great rhythm in life. Somebody asked this question, can you elaborate on the meaning of subtle parts of food and water? It's an Ayurvedic principle that nothing which is gross only remains on the gross platform. It actually breaks into finer realities of life, and no subtle matters remain only subtle. They affect our consciousness, our body also. Just like sun rays, a morning sun rays, when people do Sandhya Bandhanam, it gives a different shade to the body. It increases your prana, it increases your brain power also. This we will discuss in our nurture and nature course when we take on other day. We'll take one last question. We notice that young children from 6 to 8 years may be very developed in intelligence, but not comparable in emotional development sensitivity. How can we assist with such development? Yes, their intellectual growth again, intellectual growth is important, as I said, because like I gave the example during recent talk on grades and upgrading. You know, in 20-30 years ago, those who would come in the bracket of 90%, their number was quite less. The rank holders would be 86%, but only 3 people amongst 10th ranker, 11th ranker, 12th ranker. Now today in 10th exam, in CBSE exam, there were more than 1,85,000 students who achieved more than 90%, because the school system has developed an algorithm through which you can achieve that grades. In our time, even the sports people, there will be very rare sports people like Gavaskar and others, right? Now there are tons of people like that. Why? Because they have developed an algorithm of skillful batting. Similarly, the informative intelligence, has become very common thing to the children. No, so that is different from mature intellectual. I would consider intellectualism is based upon ability to converse maturely with adults, with the children, younger children or their equals, right? If that is not developed in them, it is very important that let us understand first whether should I call this as a buddhimata or is it over maturity because of the algorithm of the modern world. And therefore what they have to experience, that emotional reality of a diverse association, or at least the parents, if they are living in a remote part of the world, they should act. Previously these emotions were naturally available because there was grandparents, grandfather, dog, cats, large number of children around you, so you didn't had to try it. It was a unconscious competency. Now this unconscious competency has to be turned into a conscious competency. Now let the children experience that my mother needs my love, my mother can be angry, my father can be upset, they have differences of opinion, allow them to serve you, allow them to serve others, act as if you are sick, act as if you are pained, let them not only see the parents in the mood of always performers, everything is under my control. अगर ऐसे अलग अलग भावना उनको consciously playing it in a very very conscious, in an organized way, तो धीरे 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 आपके लिए फेक है लेकिन उनके लिए रियल है वो. You may fake, but that is real for them. No, so till they understand, अरे ये तो माँ मेरी नाटक कर रही है, उसको मेरी आवश्यकता नहीं है, तब तक हम कर सकते हैं उसको in this way, by however means, if we can allow them to experience the emotional side, and this बुद्धि और इमोशन का जो समन्वय हो जाएगा, उनके लिए बहुत 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 बेनिफिट करेगा. No, so therefore I always believe in one thing, that to compare that the previous generation 50-60 years ago was better than this generation is not a very right thing. Only thing, different resources were available for the previous generation and they lacked some resources. Now there are major resources but they lack some resources. Therefore conscious competency developing becomes a reality, and give them what we lacked, along with that what they have, then they are the most fortunate children. That is what I believe in, and we will discuss rest of it tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.